Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, entitled Conversation Between Maitreya and Vidura. Which text is on the board? Is it 19 or 30? Okay. So reading from text 19, 20 and through to 21. Text 19. Vissasa jatmana kayam Navinandam stamomayam Jagroho yaksha rakshamsi Ratrim shudrit samudbhavam Vishasa jatmana kayam Navinandam stamomayam Jagruho yaksha rakshamsi Ratrim shudrit samudbhavam Visasa jatmana kayam Navinandam stamomayam Jagruho yaksha rakshamsi Ratrim shudrit samudbhavam So I'll just recite I'll read the translation of this verse, and we'll go on to the next verse, word for word. Vissasa pleased. Tamamayam, made of ignorance. Jagruho, took possession. Raksha Rakshamsi, the Yakshas and Rakshas. Radrim, night. Shud, hunger. Trid, thirst. Samubhava, the source. Translation by Bhagavatam Swami Srila Prabhupada. Out of disgust, Brahma threw off the body of ignorance. To take this opportunity, Yakshas and Rakshasas sprang for possession of the body, which continued to exist in the form of night. Night is the source of hunger and thirst. Text 20. Shrivyam upasristaste tanjadum aditudruvo marakshatayam jakshavam idyuchoshutrit adita. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Overpowered by hunger and thirst, they ran to devour Brahma from all sides and cried, "Spare him not, eat him up."
Purport. The representatives of the Yakshas and Rakshasas still exist in some countries of the world. It is understood that such uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers and holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. It's a different kind of love feast than we have here. Not recommended. Is 21 on the board as well? No. Text 21. I was asked to give class on 21 as well. Devasthan aha samvigno mam jakshata rakshata aho me yaksha rakshamsi prajayuyam babuvita. Word for word. Devaha, Lord Brahma. Tan, to them. Aha, said. Samvigna, being anxious. Ma, do not. Mam, me. Jakshata, eat. Rakshata, protect. Aho, oh. Me, my. Yaksha Rakshamsi, O Yakshas and Rakshasas. Prajaha, sons. Yuyam, you. Babhuvita, were born. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are Yakshas and Rakshasas." Please repeat. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are Yakshas and Rakshasas." Purport. The demons who were born from the body of Brahma were called Yakshas and Rakshasas because some of them cried that Brahma should be eaten and the others cried that he should not be protected. The ones who said that he should be eaten were called Yakshas, and the ones who said that he should not be protected became Rakshasas, man-eaters. The two, Rakshas and Rakshasas, are the original creation by Brahma and are represented even until today in the uncivilized men who are scattered all over the universe. They are born in the mode of ignorance, and therefore, because of their behavior, they are called Rakshasas or man-eaters. Translation, Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are yakshas and rakshasas. Om Agana Chamandasha Gananjana Salakaya Chaksamulatam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Mukam Karati Vachalam Pangam Langati Garim Yat Kripatam Aham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Nasta Prasho Bhadresho Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Yotmasloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistaki. Hare Krishna. So here we see Lord Brahma is even afraid for himself of being killed by these yakshas and rakshasas. So this shows that in the material world it's a place full of anxiety. It's called kuntha. Place full of anxiety. Every living entity is full of anxiety unless they're fully Krishna conscious. It's the only way to become free of anxiety in this material world. Even Lord Brahma, the topmost demigod, the original person in this universe, is experiencing full anxiety here. In the spiritual world is Vaikuntha, no anxiety whatsoever, because everyone is fully Krishna conscious. But it's said that even the great demigods, even the highest demigods, sometimes they're full of anxiety because they're afraid of the demons attacking them. Well, they're actually always afraid the demons may come to attack them. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Abrahma bhuvanaloka puna avatano jana mamu pechat kuntaya puna janma navijate. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery where repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my eternal abode does not take birth again in this material world. And our experience is that for ourselves, before we came to Krishna consciousness and witnessing all the living beings in this material world, we can see they're always full of anxiety. Even the so-called civilized people in this modern society are always in anxiety, even in their places of enjoyment, in the nightclubs, the pubs, the horse races. They're always stressed and in anxiety because they're forgetting Krishna. And even little birds, when they're going for their food, they're always constantly in anxiety. When some predator going to come and attack me, they're always looking over their shoulder. Even they can't eat properly without being anxious. And another point here is that even Lord Brahma's own son, some of his sons, the yakshas and rakshasas, so demoniac, they wanted to eat their own father or to kill him. Like Prabhupada says in the previous verse that in some countries in the world, uncivilized men take pleasure in killing their own grandfathers, holding a love feast by roasting the bodies. Prabhupada says in a lecture, some countries when the grandfather gets too old and useless, they roll him off the roof. So this world is a very uncivilized place. Material world is a very uncivilized place, especially in Kali Yuga. Gandhi was once asked, what do you think of modern civilization? This was like, maybe 100 years ago, 1920s, 30s, when people were a little more civilized than they are now. Kali Yuga wasn't so advanced. And Gandhi said, he said there's, people are not civilized. It's not a civilized world. People are very uncivil towards themselves, towards other people, towards animals. Gandhi also was said that any country where they don't protect the animals, then that's a very uncivilized place. You can understand how much people are advanced by how they treat their animals. So we can understand how people how much they are not advanced in spiritual consciousness in modern times, because they're brutally slaughtering billions and billions of animals, something like 100 billion animals every year, slaughtered: cows, sheep, pigs, chicken, and that's not including fish. So on average, every person is eating like 5 beasts every year. It's very horrific. So, but this is nothing new. It's just increased greatly in Kali Yuga. Even in previous ages, these yakshas and rakshasas were existing, even in the beginning of creation. So there's always, as Srila Prabhupada says, there's always two classes of men in this world. There's always the devotees, or the demigods, and the demons. The suras and the asuras. And they're always opposed against each other. And we can read in the 16th chapter a few of the different qualities of the suras and the asuras. So the first 3 verses describe the devotees of the suras. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said: fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigour, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honour. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharat, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Then Lord Krishna goes on to the demoniac qualities: pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Prita. In this world there are 2 kinds of created beings. One is called divine and the other demoniac. I've already explained to you at length the divine qualities. Now hear from me of the demoniac. Those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness nor proper behaviour nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is unreal with no foundation, no God in control. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. There's many other demoniac qualities listed there. That's just a few. So this is the nature of the material world. We shouldn't be surprised that there's such demoniac persons who are even prepared to kill their own father or mother, like we see in the example of Lord Brahma here, in the yakshas and rakshasas. And Kali Yuga is so vicious that even mothers are prepared to kill their own child in the womb. Abortion has become very commonplace. There's millions of abortions every year. Srila Prabhupada says for such sinful activity, those who commit such sinful activity will practically never see the light of day again. They'll have to be aborted in the same way. So the laws of nature are very stringent. One cannot avoid the reaction for breaking the laws of nature, committing sinful activities. So the devotees have all good qualities because they're devoted completely to serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, with love. Yashasti bhakti bhagavati yakinchana savaya ganas tatra samasate sara harava bhaktasya kato mahadgana matoranenasati davato bahir. Unto those who have unflinching devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the good qualities of the demigods and the Supreme Lord are invested in such a person. But those who or is hovering on the platform of the mind and the senses, material existence, with no devotion to the Supreme Lord, they have no good qualities. So we see that in Kali Yuga, practically no one has any good qualities. Everyone is very fallen, living a very abominable existence with no understanding whatsoever of who they are, what is the purpose of life, where they're going, what's their relationship with the Supreme Lord. What are their duties in relationship with the Supreme Lord? Even so many so-called institutions of knowledge, big universities, but Srila Prabhupada says, where is that institution which is teaching the science of the soul? Not even the basic knowledge is there in any big institution. Krishna says some look on the soul as amazing, some describe the soul as amazing, some hear of the soul as amazing, and others, even after hearing about the soul, they cannot even understand the soul at all. So this is practically 99% of the population. They cannot even understand the soul as being different from the body and the mind. What to speak of any higher knowledge of one's relationship with Krishna, or the nature of the material world and the spiritual world, and one's destination beyond the death of this body. There's no knowledge. As Srila Prabhupada says, even 500 years ago, there was a few Jagais and Madhais. The archetypical examples of sinful personalities of Kali Yuga. Jagai and Madhai, completely addicted to intoxication, meat eating, they were murderers, thieves, etc. And Prabhupada says now 99% of the population, the Jagai and Madhais, Kali Yuga has advanced so much since the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Prabhupada says we're wholesale saving Jagais and Madhais by spreading Krishna consciousness. In Satya Yuga, practically 100% of the population were devotees of Krishna and engaged in spiritual activities. In Treta Yuga, it was reduced to 75%. In Dwapara Yuga, 50%. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, beginning of Kali Yuga, down to 25% of people spiritually inclined, engaging service to Krishna, and 75% atheistic. Now it's practically 100% with these natures of yakshas and rakshasas. And because the leaders are no better than the common people, the leaders are engaged themselves in so many sinful activities: meat eating, intoxication, gambling, illicit sex. Even Srila Prabhupada says even many of these politicians and leaders, they're going to nightclubs, they're going to prostitutes. So if they are not following principles of spiritual advancement and purification, how can we expect the common people? Yad yad acharati shreshtas tad tad devetaro jana sayat pramanam kurate lokas tad anuvatate. Whatever action great man performs, Krishna says, common men follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, the whole world pursues. So as Srila Prabhupada said, the blind leaders leading the blind followers, and they all fall into a ditch of ignorance. Matina Krishnaya Paratas Vatova. Because of their uncontrolled senses, people make progress towards hellish conditions, and punas chavata chavananam. They repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations to Krishna are never aroused by their own efforts, by the help of others, or by a combination of both. So people are, especially in this age of Kali, the demoniac personalities are constantly chewing the chewed, constantly trying to squeeze some pleasure out of materialistic pleasures, mainly in the form of gambling, meat eating, intoxication, illicit sex, but they're never satisfied. Just like Srila Prabhupada gives the story of one man, he was a leper, and he was, practically crippled and deformed, defaced, ugly, but he had a very chaste wife. But he wanted to go and see this prostitute. There was a famous prostitute at the time called Lokahila, and her charge was thousands of pieces of diamonds. And so the chaste wife said, "My dear husband, you don't look very happy. And why are you not feeling happy?" And he said, "I want to go and see the prostitute." And she, being a chaste wife, she's wanted to fulfill the husband's desire, so she said she took him to the prostitute. And the prostitute, first she cooked him a meal, and she put half the meal soup or dal in an iron pot and the other half in a golden pot. And she said, so try both. So he tried both, and she said, so is there any difference? And he said, no, the taste is the same. So she said, so why are you coming here? The taste is the same. Whether you have sex with this lady or that lady, it's like old wine in new bottles. Like people put a new label on a new wine, but it's the same taste as the wine from 20 or 30 years ago. But people, somehow or other, they think if I just go for this pleasure again in a different way, I will enjoy. But they're never satisfied, and the more they try to enjoy, the more the pleasure becomes stale and hackneyed. But spiritual pleasure, Krishna consciousness, is an Anandam Bodhivardhanam, an ever-increasing ocean of transcendental pleasure. The more we dive into chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The more we dance in ecstasy, the more kirtan we have, the more we hear this philosophy, the more we do service, the more we take prasadam, the more we preach Krishna consciousness, the more we become ecstatic, the more we become purified and enlivened, the more we become Krishna conscious, until our cup of Krishna consciousness is completely full and there's no room for Maya to enter. Just like you have a cup of milk, if it's not completely full to the top, to the brim, you can pour some ink in, it will penetrate and contaminate the milk. But if the milk is fully to the brim of the cup, you try to pour the ink, it can't enter, it won't contaminate. So this is the goal, to be always Krishna conscious, always remembering Krishna, never forgetting Krishna, always engaged in Krishna's service, externally and internally, always meditating on Krishna's forms, names, qualities, pastimes, service. And this way, Maya, even though very powerful, Maya is the agent of Krishna. And Maya is very, very powerful, especially in Kali Yuga. We're completely surrounded by Maya, by forgetfulness of Krishna. Even you just have to walk down to Mawulambar. Everyone's in complete Maya there, just a small town, what to speak of these big hellish cities. But a devotee is fully protected, as long as he's fully Krishna conscious and fully engaged in Krishna's service. As Srila Prabhupada says, he can go to the most hellish cities, Sydney, Melbourne, New York, Los Angeles, London, and he will remain unaffected by all these alluring attractions. And even though it's Kali Yuga, it seems like a hopeless, because the demons are so-called in control. Of course, Krishna is ultimately in control, but seemingly seems like the demons are in control of the governments and the education systems, etc. And it seems like a hopeless situation for spreading Krishna consciousness. But it's predicted this movement will spread all around the world, to every town and village. Lord Chaitanya himself predicted Prithivitiyachayatanagaradigram, that in as many towns and villages as there are on this earth, my holy name will be preached. So it cannot happen automatically. We have to be Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan soldiers, Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan soldiers, to go out and spread this Krishna consciousness as much as possible. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Srila Prabhupada's given the formula. Go out, distribute these books, distribute the holy names, Harinam Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution en masse. I was just reading Laguti's jacket. It was saying, a quote from Prabhupada was saying that, please help me. If you distribute my books, that will really please me. Of course, Srila Prabhupada said, no, like, the books are not just for distribution, they're for reading and for understanding, and for deeply understanding this philosophy. Prabhupada's only criticism was the devotees are not reading his books enough. But also, the books are not just for reading, and not that we neglect going out and preaching and distributing books and just read the books. There has to be a balance. Just like we have a balance of our sadhana and a balance of our preaching, the two tracks of the train track. We have to have a balance of our Bhagavat Marg our sadhana and our worship, and the Pancharat Riki Vidi is the rules and regulations, and the sadhana, and Bhagavat Marg is like preaching Krishna consciousness. So we have the medicine, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his song says, I have the medicine to wipe out the disease of material existence, material ignorance and illusion. Now please take this medicine, this Harinam Sankirtan, the Yuga Dham, the method for all living entities for this age of Kali to achieve complete Krishna consciousness, complete perfection of life, and attain the supreme destination of going back home, back to Godhead, attaining Krishna Prem, pure love for Krishna. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that those yasyastravaram utsuja vadade kamakara danasa siddham avapnoti nasukam na param gatim. He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness, nor the supreme destination. So if we neglect the Vedic scriptures like most people do, where's the question of happiness or attaining perfection of life or the supreme destination? There's no hope. And as Srila Prabhupada says, we have to accept all the injunctions of these bona fide literatures, the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Not that we just accept some parts and reject other parts. Like Srila Prabhupada would say of the Sahajas, they just want to read about the pastimes of Krishna dancing with the gopis, and they end up imitating these pastimes and fall down to illicit sexual affairs. And they try to claim that, well, Krishna with Arjuna fighting on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, this is not spiritual. So they reject such pastimes. But Srila Prabhupada says whether Krishna on the battlefield being the chariot driver for Arjuna and the Pandavas, killing millions of soldiers, or Krishna dancing with the gopis, or Krishna lifting Govardhana hill, they're all fully transcendental Krishna conscious activities, and one can make advancement from hearing any of these activities. Like Srila Prabhupada says, the half-hen philosophy, the farmer, he may want the golden egg to sell the egg at the market, but he doesn't want the botheration of feeding the chook, so he chops off the beak. How are you going to get the golden egg without feeding the chook? So this is we don't want to follow this half-end philosophy, just accepting certain parts of the Vedic literature and rejecting other parts. So we have this transcendental medicine, like Srila Prabhupada says, the diet for curing the disease of material ignorance is prasadam, and the medicine is the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply chanting, dancing, and feasting. Simple formula. No one has to have any previous qualification to achieve spiritual success in this transcendental movement, this ISKCON movement. Simply following these simple formulas and following Srila Prabhupada's programs that he's set up, like these temple programs, morning and evening programs, as much as possible. Especially when you're in the brahmacharini ashram, you should be like here 24 hours a day in temple programs, or out doing service on the farm, or out preaching. As grihastas, may be a little hard to attend the full programs, but at least some of the program every day we can come for Mangaladi or class. Very powerful, these programs. Every one of these programs, Mangalati, Guru Puja, Tulsi Puja, Bhagavatam class, taking prasadam, they're all very, very powerful and purifying. So, and we have to share this wonderful transcendental medicine of this Krishna conscious process with the whole world. Not that we just keep it for ourselves. As Prahlad Maharaj says, no, I see many, many saintly people in the Himalayas, but they're only interested in their own salvation. They're not going to the big cities and towns to give out Krishna consciousness. But I'm more concerned about these rascals and fools in these big cities and towns, how they can go back home, back to Godhead. and take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. So just like if we, there's a forest fire and we find, everyone's about to be burned in the forest fire, and we find some fire trail how to get out of the forest fire, and we just take off and leave all our friends there to burn. How abominable, how miserly is that mentality? So this material world is sometimes compared to be like a blazing forest fire, where everyone's burning up in the fire of material desire and material ignorance, lifetime after lifetime. And we have the formula how to get out of this blazing fire of material existence. So how miserly is it if we don't go out and share this Krishna consciousness? We could consider we're also culpable for reactions if we don't help other people come to the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada always pushed the devotees to go out, perform massive Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, Prashadam distribution, because most of the population, they're never going to come to the temple. People don't know. Churches and temples are closing down gradually in Kali Yuga. What are they becoming? Like nightclubs, pubs, right? You go to a place like Sydney, you see some of these amazing, beautiful churches. Now they're like pubs. They're a nightclub. So this is the situation in Kali Yuga. People are not coming to these transcendental places, so we have to take the temple out to them, to the street. Now is Srila Prabhupada's book distribution marathon, traditionally Christmas marathon. So as much as possible, devotees, if they can free themselves up even a little bit, even 1 day a week or 1 hour a day, or some devotees can go out every day and distribute these books. We've just received an order of 1,000 Bhagavad Gitas from BBT in Sydney. They're sitting in Dandakaranya's house, so they're ready. Any devotee can take them, and if you can't go and distribute the books, then you can sponsor books, and other devotees can distribute them for you. So please help assist Srila Prabhupada in this way, at this time, and any time, but especially this time. People are going out shopping, spending so much money on useless things at Christmas time. They have so much money in their wallets or on their card. And if we approach them in a nice way and attract them with these transcendental literatures, people will take and give nice donations. And even anywhere you stop, even at the supermarket, the petrol station, have some books with you. Always carry books. Like the other day I was coming up to Nugokur from Sydney, and I stopped at the petrol station, and this man, he took Bhagavad Gita. He owned the petrol station, bought Bhagavad Gita. So you just don't know. I was on a plane once, and I was trying to distribute books like on the plane in the aisles, flying from Sydney to Kuala Lumpur. And I lasted a little while. I got out a couple of books, but then the airport staff said, "No, sorry, you can't do that. You'll have to sit down." So I sat down, but when I got off at KL, this lady approached me straight away and she said, "I was waiting to get a book. Can I please get one of those Bhagavad Gitas?" And so another time I was distributing books in the Sydney show. We used to go there year after year, thousands and thousands of people, 100,000, 200,000 people there. And I was doing in the Showbag Pavilion. There's like packed with people in the Showbag Pavilion, where people are buying their show bags for their kids full of chocolates and fizzy drinks. And I was doing really well, and then I met this young lady, and she took a book happily, like a Bhagavatam, and she said, "Yeah, my father, he's the general manager of the Easter show in Sydney." I thought, "Oh gee, I hope she doesn't tell him. I'll probably get kicked out." Luckily, she didn't tell him, so I lasted. But yeah, these places where there's thousands of people, and lots of fun distributing books and giving people the opportunity. Many times we get kicked out of these places and we just go back in, keep going back in. Just become fearless. Yep, we have to be bold and fearless in preaching Krishna consciousness. Go to these places where people are performing so much nonsense, and devotees have, the right to go into any of these places and distribute books, pubs, nightclubs, wherever, on aeroplanes, on the boats. at the end of Christmas Marathon in Sydney every year, we used to go up to King's Cross because there's no, everything else was closed down after midnight and all the shopping centres were closed. So we go up to King's Cross and there's like thousands of people, nightclubs, walking along the streets. So we distribute books till like Mongolati. Sometimes we stay out till like 6 o'clock in the morning, just come back have a shower, greet the deities. The Sanctan scores would get read out, and so take advantage of this time of year. Anyone who has a chance to go out and preach Krishna consciousness, give out these books to try and give people a chance to become purified of their demoniac tendencies, because most people don't even know that they're acting on a demoniac platform. They have no idea that what is wrong and what is right. As Krishna says in that verse we read in the Bhagavad Gita, they don't know neither truth nor cleanliness nor proper behavior is found in them, but they don't know how to behave properly or how to be clean or how to be truthful. There's no training system in any education. As Prabhupada says, the whole society is like a rotten to the bone, like a rotten apple. Sometimes you get a good shiny apple from the supermarket, you take one bite and it's like there's worms in there. So that's this whole modern society. It looks very nice and attractive, it looks very advanced, with so many shining skyscrapers and beautiful, flash cars and people dressed in immaculate suits and very opulent, attractive shops and houses. But what's the mentality of the people inside all these places? Very demoniac. So, and what's the mentality? As Srila Prabhupada says, like the dog is running on 4 legs, just looking for sex and food and shelter and defense. If the human beings are running on 4 wheels, looking for sex and sleep and money, then where's the advancement? It's just polished animals. So we have to somehow go out and give these people a chance. Even in Murwillumbah, you can just go downtown in Murwillumbah. I met a lady yesterday here at the Sunday Feast. She said, were you the one who gave me the mango lassi in Murwillumbah the other day? We had a book table set up there with mango lassi. And I was just reading a story by, it was Shriti Kirti Prabhu was telling the story of an aeroplane like back in 1975. Srila Prabhupada, he was with Srila Prabhupada and one other servant. And Prabhupada, as soon as the plane took off, Prabhupada would have his prasadam. So, well, practically as soon as the seatbelt sign came to put on the seatbelts, Prabhupada would want his prasadam. So Prabhupada had some simple prasadam, just some, it was like mixed nut preparation or bhuja. And, sorry? Yeah. So Prabhupada was taking some, and then he gave the remnants to his disciples, and they were taking some prasadam. And then this air hostess, she came over and she just grabbed some of the nut preparation off Shriti Kirti's plate and ate it like that, And then she said, well, if you want something else, I can give you, fruit and nuts and milk and different things. So she got different things for the devotees. And then 10 years later, these devotees in South America were going distributing books in some remote area where they needed a 4-wheel drive to get to these villages. And they were going house to house, knocking on the door. And one devotee knocked on one house, and the lady opened the door. And the devotee said, I have these books for you. And she said, I have some of your books, and I have deities, I'm worshipping the deities. And she said, 10 years ago, I met your devotees and I met your spiritual master on a plane. She just had that slight contact, and then she became a devotee just of her own accord, practicing in some remote area. So we just don't know how people will take up Krishna consciousness. If we just give them the seed, plant the seed. Even some people don't take books, just give them a favourable impression, be nice to people. Wish them a good day, thank you for your time, have a nice day, Hare Krishna, touch them on the back, on the shoulder with a book. People are getting unlimited benefit even if they just touch the book, even if they just read one word. Srila Prabhupada says one line. They're being freed from the the reactions to more sinful activities than they could commit in millions of lifetimes. So we'll finish there. Does anyone have any questions or comments? We have microphone available. Krishna. Let's read the verse again while we're waiting for the microphone. Brahma, the head of the demigods, full of anxiety, asked them, "Do not eat me, but protect me. You are born from me and have become my sons. Therefore you are yakshas and rakshasas."
Thanks for the class, Guru. At the beginning you said how Brahma is going to... The Rakshasas wanted to eat him, right? But I've heard somewhere before that Brahma's body is made of intelligence. I don't know whether that's in... I think that's pretty in the scriptures. So, like, how did they eat a body that's made of intelligence?
I probably couldn't answer that. Does anyone have any understanding of an answer for that question? Yeah. I can't remember reading if Prabhupada describes that, how they, whether it's described in this chapter, how they eat him, because he's, as you say, he has a subtle body made of intelligence. Does anyone else have an understanding of that? Don't speculate. What did Prabhupada say? I'll just finish. Prabhupada said, if you say, "I think, maybe, perhaps," you should lock yourself in the closet. Yes, Ashray Tafa Prabhu.
We don't just devour food, we also devour knowledge, literature. There's many ways to, I think, look at the idea of devouring something or eating something rather than just as a piece of flesh and I'm going to eat that. You know? So Brahma's body may have been subtle, but it doesn't mean it can't be devoured.
That's a good answer. Also, when we devour or honour prasadam, we eat it physically, but we also eat it spiritually as well, and on the mental platform as well. It's satisfying. We're getting satisfaction for the mind, not just for the mind and body, but for the soul as well. And we're devouring Krishna. Prasadam is not different from Krishna. It's a form of Krishna, or the holy name. We're devouring the holy name, transcendentally taking in Krishna. Everything is invested within the holy name. All of Krishna's creations, pastimes, qualities, forms, names, invested within the holy names, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Krishna's absolute, so he's non-different. His form is non-different from his name, his pastimes, his qualities, his abodes. But in the material world, Prabhupada says the name is different from the person. You can chant Mr. John, Mr. John. How long can you chant that for before you get sick of it? Maybe a minute. But we're going on chanting Hare Krishna for like years and decades, and devotees never tire. This transcendental process become more and more enlivened. So we should drink deep or devour the holy name in this transcendental philosophy and pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. The whole process, drink deep this process regularly, 24 hours a day. Anyone else have any? Yes, Prabhu. It's a microphone here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavat Pranam. Thank you for the beautiful class. Prabhuji, your grace mentioned that we should develop fearless qualities in preaching Krishna consciousness. How does one develop those fearless qualities?
Well, just by constant practice and endeavour of practicing Krishna consciousness, all these qualities will naturally develop. Yasyasti bhakti bhagavati yakinchana. One who has unflinching devotion develops all these good qualities of the Krishna and the demigods. Automatically they come. So I was listening to a class this morning. Prabhupada was saying that material life means pavaga, means hard work. Then people, when they work hard, they sweat, they foam at the mouth like a horse, they get frustrated. Then there's fear, and then there's death. That is material existence. But spiritual existence is apavaga. There's no hard work on the material platform. Every work we do is full of joy and ecstasy and nectar. It's not like the ordinary hard work of the material world. There's no ordinary like sweat and foam like people experience in the material world. There's no frustration, there's no fear, there's no death. Because a devotee is guaranteed eternal existence. Even in this life, he's on the platform of eternal existence and full spiritual existence, as long as we're fully engaged in Krishna's service. That a devotee who's engaged his mind, words and activities in the service of Krishna is not on the material platform. He's not in the material world, he's in the spiritual world, even while he's here in Kali Yuga. So, just by becoming fully Krishna conscious, totally free from all frustration, all fear, death, ignorance, passion, even free from the mode of goodness. We can be constantly in Sudasattva, transcendental goodness. And that's what these temples are like. They're places full of Sudasattva. Should take full shelter so that when we go out there we can have that protection.
And also, is that fearless process gradual? As you develop those qualities, then you become more confident to be able to preach?
For most of us, it's very gradual. Can't expect to be Krishna conscious overnight. Like Prabhupada says, a woman when she gets married, she can't expect to be pregnant and have a child straight away. She has to wait at least 9 months. So in Krishna consciousness, we have to usually wait some time, a gradual process to get purified and develop these qualities. Maybe some exceptional devotee who develops these qualities like immediately from their previous birth. What is that verse? O expert and thoughtful men, oh how glorious are those whose tongues are always chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. To be always chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's understood they've performed all the sacrifices, all austerities, studied all the scriptures, bathed in all the holy places in their previous lifetimes. So if someone has come to that platform of always fully Krishna conscious, always chanting, always serving, always very pure, then they've done a lot of devotional service in their previous lifetimes. But that's not for most of us. Most of us have to many, many years. But Prabhupada says you can be fully Krishna conscious in a moment, or you may not become Krishna conscious after millions of lifetimes. It's only a matter of accepting and understanding the fact by following this teaching we can achieve that Krishna consciousness immediately. So it's possible. Like Prabhupada gives the example, sometimes a student will get an honorary degree at university even without undergoing the whole course like that. But most students have to undergo the whole course for the whole term, to get that degree. Okay, anything else?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Krishna. So we'll finish there. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi. They'll be Sankirtan today. Charan Aravinda, book distribution, myself are going. Maybe, haven't decided, but maybe Coolangatta, Charan Aravinda, does that sound good? Coolangatta, if anyone's free, please contact myself or Charan Aravinda, you can come and join us there. Hare Krishna.